Hey everybody, and welcome to Epic Everyday, our weekday podcast for busy, stressed out Christians who want to do more than just survive. I'm Liz Frericks, and this is my husband Evan.
Good morning.
And we're so glad you guys are here with us on this wonderful Monday.
Yes, happy Monday, TGIM. It's Opportunity Day.
Yes, it is.
And thank you for spending part of your day with us. We really appreciate you joining us and listening to the show. If this show is helpful and encouraging to you, please share it with a friend. We'd love that.
So as you guys know, we work our way through the CSCs. They are adaptations of Peter Ralston's Tai Chi principles, being calm, surrendered, centered, connected, and complete. And we've really found these are the difference between kind of just being in survival mode and being able to really find that peace, joy, and abundance.
Yeah, having a vibrant, active faith that's actually going somewhere and it doesn't just feel stagnant.
Yes.
And before we get too into today's topic, we have a little show note to talk about. Is that where you're going next?
Yes, that is where I was headed next.
We have been doing this show since August 2017, so about a year now, but not quite an entire year. But at the end of August, on the 31st, we're going to do our last episode of this daily, CSCs-based show. And we're going to have one solid year of devotional type shows, and then we're going to take a hiatus.
Yep. So, and we have no idea what we're going to be doing next exactly. We have some ideas, but we haven't figured out which direction we're going to go. So, but it's still going to be about the CSCs and growing and moving from survival mode into thriving. So if that's something you are interested in, go ahead and join our email list.
Yep, Epic Everyday is not going anywhere. Yeah, you can join our email list on our webpage, epiceverydaynow.com, or you can like us on Facebook and kind of keep track of what's going on there too.
So this week, we thought we would talk about hope. So today, CSC is being calm. So I thought we'd start by talking about overwhelm.
Yeah. Well, I had this thing we'll get into how hope works, but without hope, trying to move through the world is kind of I was thinking about it like a meditation, just take it all in, usually in meditations, you're trying to take in these truths that are sort of contradictory to the world around you, to actually get to a place of calm and stuff. But what if you were just take in the chaos, take in the panic, take in the franticity, and what other choice do we have when we don't have hope? We just see what we see, and that's our reality.
Right. Well, I think even as Christians, it's really easy to fall into I don't see any way this can turn out well. Mm-hmm. Can't tell you the number of times that I've prayed and said, Lord, I need you to work in this situation because I don't see any way where this can turn out well.
Yeah.
And it's so, I think living in a global society in a lot of ways means that overwhelm expands because we have the overwhelm that's coming at us all the time in, the news and in Christian circles too, just being okay, Christians are being persecuted in these different countries and, here's where child sacrifice is happening and all these kind of really awful things that we're hearing about consistently in church and then, like I said, in the news. So we hear about these things worldwide. And then we have our smaller group, our churches or our friend group where people that we care about are going through awful things. Mm-hmm. And that's really overwhelming.
Yeah. And, I think sometimes, at least I thought this, it seems I think the older I get, some of that stuff ought to smooth out. But it doesn't really. I get older and I learn how to deal with some things sort of naturally and supernaturally too, because my faith has grown. But then it just presents a whole new set of stuff to not have calm about, to be stressed about. And it's not like we really grow out of this. Our need for hope, we don't outgrow that.
That's one of the reasons I love the CSCs, because they're applicable. They're flexible enough to handle whatever is going on in our lives. It's not like if you learn that skill, it's the skill to learn how to handle whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So we have worldwide overwhelm and overwhelm among the people we care about. And then we have personal overwhelm because there's so much going on in our lives, just in general. Everybody's busy. Everybody's got a million different things that they're trying to get done. And every time I talk to one of our friends and they're just oh yeah, here's my schedule for the week. I'm oh gosh.
How do you manage that?
I don't know how you're surviving.
We definitely have a lighter schedule than most people we know. And it's how do we We can't even deal with our schedule.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Everybody's got their own overwhelming stuff to deal with. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's not still
Stressful.
a really big deal. Yeah. We're going to spend a little bit of time in Romans 8 today because it addresses really well this issue. Romans 8:18, for I consider that suffering of this present time are not worth comparing to the glory that will be revealed to us. And then skip down to 23. We who have the first fruits of the Spirit also groan inwardly as we eagerly await our adoption, the redemption of our bodies. For we were saved with this hope in mind. Now a hope that can be observed is not really hope, for what is hope that can be seen? But if we hope for what we do not yet observe, we eagerly await for it with patience. And there's part of that that's really comforting, and then part of that, especially at the end, that's just really baffling as well. Eagerly waiting in patience, not being able to see this stuff. And I think so often we want to hope in stuff we understand.
Right.
That's what makes sense to us. It's, like growing up, maybe, as you grow up, you can look back on your life and see, oh, well, I see the reason for that suffering.
Right.
I understand that. But Paul here is talking about how, it's not really hope unless it's in something that you can't see and can't understand. That's
right, because otherwise you've already obtained it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
But I love that because that kind of encapsulates the two areas I was thinking about. We have this future hope, and then we have a present hope. And the future hope, I was thinking about in Revelation 21, where it says, starting in verse 3, now the dwelling of God is with men, and he will live with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. He who is seated on the throne said, I am making everything new. Then he said, write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true. And I love that. I love the idea that we're not going to be going through any kind of suffering up in heaven, There's not going to be any sorrow. There's not going to be any pain.
We can't even imagine what that would be like.
Right, we really can't. Because even on our best days, we still live in broken bodies. We still live in a broken world.
And I guess that's kind of the point, right? We have no idea what that would be like. But to actually have hope in that, there's got to be mystery there. And
yeah,
unknown.
But I think it's it's the difference between, there's some mystery there, but there's also enough information that we can anticipate it. It's kind of like if somebody said, hey, you're going to be able to take this awesome vacation to this place you've never been, and they tell you all about it. There's still mystery there because you haven't been there. And there's so many things that are indescribable. What does it smell like in a place? What does it feel like? So there's information that we don't have, even if we read all the travel brochures.
Sure.
But we have enough information to look forward to it and to say, wow, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And it's the same way in the Bible. We have enough information to look forward to it and say, man, heaven's going to be great. And here's why. And here's why I'm looking forward to it. And here's why, knowing that the end is okay. And that, as a writer, that's one of the things that I'm very passionate about. I want a happily ever after in my literature. I do not like stories that end up poorly. I just love this idea that God's given us a glimpse into the end already. We know that we don't have to worry about how does our story end up, because it ends up well. We
have that outside perspective through the scripture from God himself, the author of the beginning and end of time. And that's the only way we can have hope. I mean, he's the one that understands all the stuff we don't understand.
Right.
And he's told us, like you said, he's told us enough. Or maybe all that he can. It seems like in his love, he would, sometimes we think, oh, God's withholding information. He's be so mysterious. I would imagine he's told us everything he possibly can. He's like, I want to give you all the information that you can digest, and I just want you to have it because I love you. I want you to have all the hope in the world because this is where we're headed together.
Yeah.
We're going to get into, as the week goes on, we talked a lot about our current situation today, and it's easy to hope and put a lot of work into changing the situation and stuff. We're going to talk about how much work hope takes tomorrow, but it's not really just about changing our situation. We'll also get into, on Thursday, the who we hope in. It's not just a what. It's not just, making things better.
Right. But we do know that God is making things better also. That's that present hope. Like, we don't just have hope in the future. Romans...
And you're describing a better physical place, heaven and the new earth, like...
New bodies.
Yeah, that is stuff. That's situational change. That is awesome.
Right. But in Romans 8:28, Paul says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." And I just love that, because I love that there's hope in the present too. Like, I love knowing that the end of the story is great. But sometimes when you're in the middle of the story, that doesn't really help all that much. But to know that God is working everything out for the good of those who love him. He's working out now, not just the future. That's just so amazing to me.
I know. Yeah, contemplate that. Meditate on it. I mean, that's what that beginning of what I read earlier in chapter 8, talking about the chaos and suffering and persecution of the world. And when we look at the news, like we were talking about earlier, we're such a global, information-rich culture. You don't have to look far to find something to despair in, but God's telling us, I'm even nearer than that. My hope is near.
As always, pick whether today is going to be awesome or not, whether you're going to strengthen those neural pathways to look for the good or to look for the bad, because it is entirely up to you. We love you guys, and we are praying for you. Thanks to everybody that's been listening to the show and sharing the show. We really appreciate it. If you have found this episode helpful, please do share it.
Yeah, and like we were saying at the beginning of the show, we're going to be taking a hiatus at the end of August, but there's 1 year's worth of episodes to go back and listen to on, at least 52 topics, because we do a topic a week, and we would love it if you would, if you like this and you're sad that it's coming to an end, maybe you haven't heard some of our earlier episodes. They'll always be there on iTunes and on Google and on YouTube, and you're more than welcome to check them out and share them with your friends.
Yes, and if you have any suggestions for what would be helpful for you about, what we should do next with Epic Every Day, please let us know. And come back tomorrow, and we're going to continue our discussion on hope and talk about how hope takes work.
So we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Have a wonderful Monday, you guys.